catastrophe that would waste untold human potential, undermine decades of progress, and exacerbate entrenched inequalities. The knock-on effects on child nutrition, child marriage, and gender equality, among others, are deeply concerning. This is the backdrop of the policy brief I'm launching today, together with a new campaign with education partners and United Nations agencies called Save Our Future.
Let's speak to primary school teacher Ricki Hamilton in London. Ricki, good to have you with us. Obviously, the UN chief speaking on a global scale there, but lots of governments saying, look, the priority is to get children back into schools. As a teacher, how do you feel about that?
I think actually calling it a generational catastrophe is pretty accurate. I think it's important to speak in these terms because we don't want to downplay something that really could lead in such a negative way. And I do think that where possible, and obviously there are so many caveats to this, schools should reopen. It does depend on a lot of factors, but yeah, I would really like to see schools reopening.
I know that you did go back to work for a short while before the summer break kicked in. Did you feel safe with the measures that were put in place?
I was certainly worried before I went back in. It felt very much like we were the guinea pigs and that it was just get them back in school as quick as possible. But once I was there, because of the precautions that were put in place in my school, and in particular because I teach at the higher end of primary, I teach in year 6, you can actually talk to those children and have that back and forth where they understand what's going on. Really, I felt fine. I can't say the same for my colleagues who teach younger children, or certainly children with special educational needs, or in more crowded classrooms. So again, lots of caveats.
Yeah, that's one of the issues that people are saying. They're getting mixed messages, certainly from the UK government, that, you know, in the closing down pubs, but sending kids to school. Is there a particular age group that perhaps is most at risk of losing out from not going back to school, or is it across the board, right from preschool up to sixth formers?
I think that all depends on how we would like to go back. If we wanted to go back in a way that is as similar as possible to how we've been in school before, then everyone is equally, well, not equally, but everyone is at risk in different ways. But particularly the youngest children, the preschool and nursery and reception, all the early years, there's so much socialization and discrete academic work that goes on there. And really that's the kind of stuff that can't be done remotely. But they're also the ones who are most at risk because they're the ones who are least equipped to fully understand it and to distance, and also then to learn in a distanced way in school, not being able to share resources, not being able to play with whomever they want, instead having to play with children in a very specific group in a chalk box in a playground. It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it must be difficult for schools as well to set up classrooms in such a way that social distancing can be carried out. But, you know, a lot of medical experts are saying this is the new normal now. We are going to have to live with coronavirus in some kind of balance for the foreseeable future. And you just can't keep kids off school indefinitely, can you?
No, exactly. And with that in mind, I think one of the most important things, one of the most important real steps we could take is actually coming up with plans that at a minimum can be followed by all schools, because there was such a variation in what we were seeing in different schools and what they were able to provide, and depending on what borough you may be in, and again, I'm just talking nationally in England. Internationally, there's so much more to consider as well. But one school down the road may have provided something incredible, whereas, you know, 5 doors down, there were perhaps no remote lessons and there wasn't the capability to distance inside the school in an appropriate way. So that has to be something that's accessible to everyone as a minimum.
Well, as one of the millions of parents who've had to do homeschooling, I take my hat off to you teachers, and thank you very much indeed for speaking to us.